Sporting directors, ownership, hierarchy, Chelsea manager, or squad. What the ruddy heck is going on with Chelsea Football Club to demonstrate such immense inconsistency? High moments in high-profile games that lead to trophies in finals, and indeed some high-profile wins in between. But these terrible bouts of form and just infuriating performances leaves a lot of people thinking, it can't go on like this, it just can't. It can, or can it? We're going to investigate that today in today's piece of content. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back to Football Therapy. Avec moi, your host, Jan. And as always, my friend, I do hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. We're going to get into it. This is your Chelsea news video, and it is a video both on YouTube and, of course, Spotify. Available on Spotify. For those of you who perhaps don't have YouTube Premium, enjoy my content, and want to listen to me while washing up, feeding the kids, driving, working out, all that kind of stuff, do consider searching Football Therapy Podcast on Spotify, following 5-starring, and helping me expand on said platform, also on Apple Podcasts. But if you're with me here, one of the OG GOAT gangs on YouTube, thank you. For the newcomers, please do consider subscribing to this channel, Football Therapy. All the returning visitors that are yet to do so, thank you for liking and subscribing. Let's get into it. Righty-ho then, we're going to react to a Athletic article by Simon Johnson and Tom Burrows. Again, looking at the result yesterday, of course, I've done a match review for said disaster. And then we're going to have a bit of fun, you and I. We're going to evaluate the men's team squad and talk about these players that we've got playing for Chelsea at the moment. Front to back, top to bottom, all of it. We're going to do it. And we're going to find out Wagwan. So we're just going to, let me just prepare one thing very quickly. Right, so before we do the order and stuff, we're going to look at this article from The Athletic. Talk together, hang out, do the post-mortem, and it's a little bit more of an existential crisis thing. Of course, the transfer window opens tomorrow. And I do worry. I mean, of course I worry. How could you not worry? But I do wonder also that after a December like that, what would January hold? Of course, they want to keep their powder dry mostly for the transfer window, but I do wonder when the December is that bad, does certain meetings change? So we're going to react to this. Like I said, it's an article on The Athletic by Simon Johnson and Tom Burrows. We're going to see what they're saying and try and pick the bones out of it a little bit more after a night's sleep. I very much struggle to sleep after Chelsea chaos and end up having to take a salad of tablets to knock me out. And because I'm just like you guys. I'm a diehard Chelsea fan, and it sucks when we lose. I feel awful. Obviously because I work covering Chelsea, it kind of gives me this sort of existential crisis as well. It's not just the miserable fan. I feel this sort of sense of responsibility to try and present something to the followers, the following here that I have to try and make them feel better, or try and, just offer some entertainment. And I feel the weight sometimes, when we're that bad. I mean, this is not a pity party. Don't get out the small violins. This is a football therapy moment for your host Jan here, but that's the truth, man. So let's have a little dip in. Chelsea have ended 2025 on a sour note. Hold on. Drawing at home to out of sorts Bournemouth to finish the year on a run of one win in 7 league matches, which is nothing short of disgraceful. Bournemouth are on their own bad run. They have got 10 games without a win, double digits without a win. But yeah, despite us playing at home, we still let them have 15 shots in the first half. 15 long throw goals. But having come from behind thanks to Cole Palmer penalty and an emphatic Enzo Fernandez finish, they were pegged back by Justin Kluivert having failed to defend a long throw. Yep, it was the Trev Chalobah assist. Enis Unal could have even won it for Bournemouth in added time. Dare I say, should have won it for them with that sort of volley, striking a presentable chance over the bar. Yeah, he probably should have scored that, and oh my god, imagine. I mean, it's pretty bad as it is, but imagine if we lost, and we'd given them their first win in 10 games. So what did the fans make of it? Well, I've got an idea. A bad December ended on a low note for Enzo Maresca as the home crowd made their mounting frustration towards him known. And by the way, he didn't come out for the post-match. Apparently he's ill. And I kind of believe that. Everyone's friggin' ill at the moment, so I get it. But I did wonder, why is he not coming out? Has he been sacked? And Willie Caballero looked a bit emosh. Is he like, my homeboy's just been sacked? No, I guess not. Just 2 weeks after the away contingent sang his name following the Carabao Cup victory at Cardiff City, yeah, they did. Enzo Maresca. Oh, no, more like, oh, Enzo Maresca. A rendition of You Don't Know What You're Doing rang out around Stamford Bridge, as well as a lot of boos just past the hour mark. Of course, this was Cole Palmer being substituted for the second home game in a row when Chelsea need a win. On Saturday, Chelsea were drawing 1-1 against Villa when England international was taken off for Estevao. I mean, when he's coming off for Estevao, it's not as bad, but when he's coming off for João Pedro, who's playing like trash, it's much trickier, isn't it? And that was 18 minutes to go, so that was even less. This was over an hour, really, with stoppage that he played, that he came off to not play. Sorry, I've got a bit of hay fever or allergies. It did not work as well as the visitors went on to claim a 2-1 victory, of course. Tonight, or last night at time of recording, João Pedro replaced Palmer with 27 minutes remaining, and the score being level at 2-2. It did not pay off either, as Chelsea dropped another 2 points. The reaction from the stands, this at the time, was not good, although Palmer clearly respected the decision as he crossed palms of Maresca before heading to his seat. So I think this is probably planned. I think Palmer maybe understands. In fairness, Palmer's minutes are being deliberately managed due to the groin problem that's ruled him out for 3 months. We gotta be fair here because they've done so well with Reece James and, dare I say, Wesley Fofana to bring them back from the dead in terms of injury rehabilitation, that I guess they know what they're doing in terms of that. I mean, they've not found a way to break the curse of Romeo Lavia. But if they've done that with 2 key players and, 2 of our best players, in my opinion, in Fofana and Reece James, then, yeah, manage Cole so he won't be out for a year. So, seemingly, his minutes are being managed deliberately. But Chelsea extending their poor run of to 1 win in their last 7 league games. That is a sickener. The club supporters are clearly not interested in the rationale behind it. Yeah, excuse me, understandably as well. I totally get it. I was miserable as well. More dissent followed the final whistle as pressure continues to mount on the Italian to turn results around. Let's pause this recording so I can sip on my coffee. Right. Did Chelsea have enough control? That's the question. In a crazy first half, Chelsea showed moments of quality going forwards, especially when they got the ball to both Palmer and Estevao, but they looked alarmingly open and vulnerable defensively. I might add also, there was a chasm in midfield despite Moises Caicedo being in there, which was very concerning and worrying. I did say in my match reaction that the first half was poor management from Maresca and the second half was poor execution from the players. So they had we're a game of 2 halves, we're a team of 2 halves in every sense of the word in every game, and for me that was it, there. All 4 goals in the first half, I think tactically were really poor. And the second half, tactically, were a lot better. It was all Chelsea momentum, but the players just didn't put the ball in the net. So, manager first half, player second half, but you could argue the manager sorted out for the second half, which is something. Their disjointed performance demonstrated the absence of Marc Cucurella as such an important player. Gusto struggled at left back, unsurprisingly, guys. While Josh Achampong also had a tough match at right back. He was replaced at half-time for Reece James. Yeah, I'm loath to dig out a teenage centre-back playing at right back who's, hasn't got full flow at the moment. I think that's very unfair, Bournemouth looked to play quick and direct. Chelsea struggled to deal with counter-attacks. Yes, with David Brooks missing a glorious chance to put them 2-1 up shortly before Fernandez's bullet. And by the way, that goal from Fernandez was beautiful. And Garnacho, for being so awful defensively, he got the assist. There were plenty of impressive passages of play from Bournemouth as they cut through Chelsea. By the way, winless in 10 Bournemouth, who broke the record for first half shots away from home ever in the Premier League for them, were cutting through Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. That, my friends, should never happen no matter what. There were plenty of impressive passages of play from Bournemouth as they cut through Chelsea. I've just said that. The second goal was another Chelsea defensive mess. A long throw, both long throws, both disgusting. After more of a settled second half from Chelsea, Bournemouth still had the chance to win. Of course, that late Unal chance that he volleyed over. Man City up next. Chelsea fix up the chance. We'll probably beat Man City without Caicedo, because that's what we do. We do weird results. Giving Arsenal a massive lead. Of course, they destroyed Aston Villa, who won 11 games in a row. Of course, beating us last. Arsenal beat them 4-1, I believe, without Declan Rice. And Kai Havertz, I think. I don't know if he returned. But, without key players, they smashed Aston Villa. And do you know why? Probably because when we played Aston Villa, despite offering them 3 points, we also offered Arsenal the opportunity to play Villa without 2 key players in Cash and Kamara. So we're helping Arsenal by not helping ourselves. And we will probably beat Man City to, give Arsenal the Premier League title, essentially. Sorry to be nihilistic. It's gallows humour, really. It makes me feel sick. Caicedo is an integral cog in Chelsea's machine. Yeah, he'll be off, basically. So he won't be available for the Man City game away at the Etihad. He rides a yellow card very well. After he initially got it early doors, he put in a foul shortly after, and I thought, well, he's coming off. But he does sort himself out. If he gets an early red, obviously he goes off. But in early yellow, he does seem to sit on a booking quite well, Caicedo. And he played better in the second half. But that first half, he was doing misplaced passes. He was scared to tackle. Probably because he, was on the booking. Liam Delap. Well, we're going to get into a player order in just a moment on the screen share. But Liam Delap, it just isn't happening for Liam Delap so far at Chelsea, writes Tom Burrows of The Athletic. After his return to the starting 11 following a 3-game absence, he toiled and worked hard up front. But it's clear he's low on confidence as he still searches for his first Premier League goal in a Chelsea shirt. He got one against Barcelona, which is always nice, but it was a whole different style of football, wasn't it? His best chance came in the second half from Pedro Neto cross. Lovely Neto cross on his weak foot, by the way. He put it over. He got underneath it. And he's replaced in the 86th minute by André Santos, of course, which pushed a very poor performing João Pedro up into the striker position, and Bournemouth fans were chanting, what a waste of money. To be honest, he was only 30 million. They usually chant that at the £100 million players, but when you're chanting that at the 30 million, I mean, Bournemouth signed players for 30 million quid. Do you know what I mean? So that's pocket change for Chelsea. That is a bad sign when 30 million pound players getting that banter. What did Maresca say? Well, not a lot. He sent out Caballero, which is very interesting, due to illness. Caballero said he didn't feel well the last 2 days. I could believe it. Loads of people are sick, of course. He had a bit of a temperature, yada, yada, yada. He spoke about Cole Palmer coming off the substitution. Of course, players want their best players on the pitch. And then he also reiterated that Cole is returning from a long-term injury, and we have to protect him. Fair enough. Let's move on. It's a tough world out there. Right, let's prepare this men's profiles, basically the squad page on the Chelsea website, and go through these players. Yeah, go through the players. 1 second. Let me prepare. Right, here we go. For the vast majority of you watching the video on both YouTube and Spotify, you will see the players on my screen. Those listening, you don't need to see. We'll talk about them together. Yeah. I could do a tier list, but I've never done. I mean, I do have like a tier list graphic, but I haven't got players prepared. I had a designer years ago make a football therapy themed tier list, but I'd need all the PNGs from these players. So here we go. Robert Sanchez, who used to give me nightmares, but dare I say is fine and good. I mean, yeah, are we all agreed for the moment? I mean, again, my position remains the same. I'm waiting till the campaign is done I'm doing it in the same way Maresca's going to have his end of season evaluation. Freaking if he gets there, mate. Because trust me, if this keeps happening, he will get sacked. He will get sacked. Like, that's not like a news flash. Like, if we don't win games, if we're not going to qualify for Europe, this isn't going to be a Man United Ruben Amorim thing. Well, or even Graham Potter. They left Graham Potter was in the Champions League. No, they sacked him and they gave it to Lampard to play Real Madrid, right? Thinking Lampard was going to like give them inspiration. God. Anyway, like Maresca, Rob Sanchez gets his end of season review from me. Good enough. Jorgensen, no, he's gone. He's gone. He wants to go next month because he wants to play football so he can go to the World Cup with his nation. Probably deserves it as well. Like, why can't Gaga Slonina be second goalkeeper? You know, play him in the FA Cup. You know, in the game that's coming, in a couple of games, and just the rest. I suppose if Sanchez gets injured, you're screwed. That's probably what they're thinking. But what's the difference between Gaga and Philip? Do you know what I mean? A lot of people probably say Gaga's better. No disrespect to Philip. I mean, he's 23, he could get better, but, you know, Max Merrick, young goalkeeper, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Kugare, obviously good, probably been overplayed to the point where his form is dipping. But he's good, obviously. Don't really need to talk about him. Uncle Tos. It's time to go, time to say goodbye to Tosin. Free transfer, so profit will be made on him. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. I like Tosin, Palmer likes him, but I'm done, bro. I'm taking no prisoners. Generally, I'm very, very kind with players, but Tosin, you out of here, mate. Benoit, I think there's a player in Benoit, but I don't think it's going to be recognised at Chelsea. So, yeah, he can leave. Au revoir, mon ami. Merci pour... whatever, he's gone. Benoit Badiashile, like, he's left foot, he can pass. He's big and strong, but... And he's played a few good games for Chelsea. He's played a lot of bad games for Chelsea. He's out. Now, Colwill, obviously, strong arguments for him being our best centre-back, depending on how you... Or most important centre-back. Because of... it. Okay, let me start that again. Most important centre-back in Enzo Maresca's Chelsea system. Which, how long will that be here for? You know, but that's what you'd say about Colwill, the most important player, defender in Maresca's system. Obviously out of an ACL for possibly the whole season. He might make an appearance late doors. Jurel Hato, or Jurel, we're yet to see him properly. We've seen him do a serviceable performance at centre-back. We've seen him do a harrowing performance at full-back. He's 19. He's played so much top-flight football at a decent level for Ajax. They want him back on loan in January to cover. We spent best part of £40 million on him, which is not chump change for an Eredivisie teenager defender. Remember, they get more expensive up the pitch. Defenders are cheaper. You know, bold accounts there's a player in there. Very interesting to see how Maresca just doesn't trust this kid at all, or thinks he's just not ready at all. You know, so I mean, what happened? I mean, if Maresca goes, the new coach might come in and be like, "Oh yeah, he's got loads of experience. I love it. I might play him quite often." So he's not going to go anywhere. He might get a loan, but Chelsea have spent way too much money on him. Trev, I want to keep Trev. I feel like he can play well, but also I feel like he's not a star. I said yesterday, I'll reiterate what I said yesterday. I don't want to sell Trev. I think he's been treated really badly. I think he's a really good guy. He's proper Chelsea, and he's a very serviceable Premier League player. I also think he shouldn't be in Chelsea's strongest 11. I think a lot of Chelsea fans would agree on that without disrespecting him. And I think despite, you know, we should be able to put out a B team at home to a side that haven't got any wins in 9 games, and beat them in Bournemouth, and I include Trevor Chalobah in that, but because we're in such a funk, we needed to put out serious big boys just to get the win no matter what, and I feel like he doesn't represent that. I know he's got a partnership with Wesley Fofana, and he is in our strongest back two at the moment and what's available, but it should be Levi and Wesley if they're both fit in that. It should be a new centre-back and one of those two, do you know what I mean, to get over the line. So not sell Trev. I'm not doing a keep sell loan. I'm just talking about halfway through the season who's performing well and what I think of them. So I don't want to get rid of Trev. Maybe he thinks if he catches whiff, and this has been the briefing, that he's not going to be a starter for Chelsea, he might know that their stock's high enough to go to a different Champions League team and start all the time and maybe win trophies in Europe or something. He's probably seen loads of his English teammates, go to Europe, and, obviously Chelsea boys like Tammy, Fakayo, other Chelsea teammates like Giroud, Pulisic, and Kunku. So many people go to Europe and play really well. Bayern Munich, Harry Kane, Dyer, and there's loads of other people as well. And Tuchel probably was looking at him for Bayern, so he might consider that. Reece obviously going nowhere. Gusto's great. He's a good player. He can play very badly, like yesterday. I think. I don't think, because Maresca's done good stuff with Gusto, but he's done bad stuff with Gusto as well that's damaged him. I want to be fair here, but at the same time, we saw him play amazing midfield, man of the match performance, goal and assist, which he probably never would have seen in his career, especially under Pochettino as a flying fullback. So I think Maresca would have done him good. The thing with Gusto is he's still really young. So I'm pleased to have him, and he's quite cheap. I think he was a really smart purchase, and I think he's generally a hit, I'd say. Fofana, you guys know he's my favourite centre-back in the Premier League. I don't think necessarily he's as important as Colwill to Maresca's system, but as a plug-and-play Premier League centre-back that can dribble, that can run back really quick, that can tackle, that can confidently and nonchalantly deal with aerial duels, he can score a goal. I think he's just my favourite centre-back to watch. Josh, very, very talented. Obviously had a stinky yesterday. Not too much his fault, I'd argue. I don't want to get rid of him. Maybe a loan if we get other players. But Ty, I understand if he goes. But Josh needs to stay on Chelsea's books. Fernandes is a very interesting one. Another beautiful goal yesterday. A leader on the pitch. Gets goals, gets assists. Can play a couple of different positions. I do wonder if one day Real Madrid finally make that deal happen and Chelsea sanction it. I'm sort of fine either way with Fernandes. I know a lot of people are giving him a lot of heat at the moment. I like him. I think he's a very talented player. He's inconsistent, but I think he'd benefit in playing for, I hate them, but dare I say it, Real Madrid. Asugo, absolutely no ruddy idea. The theory is he's like a mini Caicedo that sort of plays that destructive destroyer style. I just don't know. I ain't seen enough of him. Do you know what I mean? Santos, keep. He's an absolute baller. He can be very, very good. I'm very high on Santos. Very, very high. I think he can be amazing. Again, very young. He's got to be like 21, 22. Loads of experience now between, not Nottingham Forest so much, but a bit at Chelsea, 18 months at Strasbourg. He won the under-20s championship with Brazil, captaining them. He's now a full Brazil international. He doesn't go anywhere. He's Chelsea. Caicedo, obviously, keep. Lavia, Schrodinger's midfielder. Does he exist? In theory, he's only 20 or so, 21, I think. In theory, he's insanely talented. He's the future of Belgium's midfield. And I always reference the fact how Cole Palmer said he's the most underrated footballer in the world. So you don't want to lose this guy that can become whatever he wants to be. Can you fix him, though? I will try to fix you, says Chelsea's medical team, but they're failing. Pedro Neto, I really like Pedro Neto. He's easily, of course, Steval's been really exciting, but in terms of consistently offering goals and assists, playing loads of different positions, defending well, he's been our most reliable winger. He's 25, he's entering his prime. He's going to be like our Pedro Willian player for the next sort of 5 years, I think. As in Pedro Rodriguez. I know he's called Pedro Neto. That player that sometimes we give stick, but they're always chipping in the odd goal and assist and working really hard. He's a really important player. So he absolutely keep Pedro Neto. Liam Delap. Liam Delap deserves a talk because he's played 10 Premier League games and he's 0-0-10, not 007, no goals and no assists. He's an interesting one because he's he's two things. He's a Chelsea signing because he's an amazing, market opportunity investment which these sporting directors, I was going to say something rude, really like. Hold on, let me just sip my cup. Yeah, so back on Delap. They really like him because he's a £30 million release clause. He chose Chelsea over the likes of Man United, Newcastle, Bayern Munich. So he was a really, good buy. Well done, big tick to the sporting directors. You managed to capture Liam Delap. Now, that's fine. I'd argue he's a good signing even now, but he's not the guy. Yeah, he shouldn't be wearing number 9. That should be another player, and he should be learning underneath him without the pressure. Because he shows moments and flashes... Sorry, what I was also going to say, there's that side of it, the Chelsea acquisition asset, the unsavoury stuff. And then there's the Maresca, who Liam Delap scored an insane amount of goals under Enzo Maresca at Man City under 23s. Over a goal a game. Erling Haaland sort of at that level sort of thing. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily translate to Premier League, but because he looked pretty nifty in an Ipswich shirt, absolutely battered us the 2 games he played us in terms of his centre-forward play. And I just thought, I'd fancy a bit of that in the Chelsea team. And in tiny moments, you see it in a Chelsea shirt. He doesn't go, he stays, but he learns of another striker for me and settles, basically. Obviously, he had loads of injuries. He's had a bit of a horror start, but he's been poor. And loads of Chelsea fans, sorry, I've eaten something that I'm intolerant to, and it's just tickling my throat. But yeah, I keep him. I'm happy with this. I'm going to give him time, basically. Cole Palmer. People are like, Chelsea keep underperforming. Cole Palmer's going to leave. Nah, he's on a lifetime contract. People aren't going to spend. I think he is happy at Chelsea. He's really frustrated right now. You can tell because he's a winner and he wants to win and he knows he can be in a really. He's smashed up PSG in a freaking final that they really wanted to win and just embarrassed them. He doesn't want to be losing at home to Bournemouth. You could tell he's really frustrated. He's not going to go anywhere. We need to build around him. He's still really young. It's up to Chelsea. These ownerships love Palmer. They keep doing promo with him and, the stuff in America in the summer. He's the jewel in the crown. He's contracted forever. For him to go, Chelsea would demand an insane amount of money. And despite us being poor at the moment and him being frustrated, I think he does recognise what Chelsea have done for him in his career. The way we platformed him, the way he's expressed himself and done well, and and it's just gone really well for him. You couldn't say if he goes to Bayern Munich from Man City, not that they would have bought him like we did, he probably would have played quite well, but he wouldn't be this star jewel in the crown, which I genuinely think he likes. He'd be a good winger in a good team or a good attack. Do you know what I mean? So I think he probably recognises the move to Chelsea was really smart. I mean, obviously, if we become awful for the next 2 years, he might be like, right, I'm 25. Can I leave now? This is silly. But for the moment, I wouldn't worry. Jamie Gittins. Yeah? He deserves another zoom-in talk. So he's got over 100 appearances in a top 5 league first team. And he obviously won man of the match in the Champions League for Chelsea, but he did for Dortmund as well. I think he scored against Bayern Munich as well in Germany. He's very young as well, plays for under-21s England. He's apparently very talented. I don't hate how we've got Jamie Gittins in the squad, but again, for me, I will talk about the players that go. I don't mind that we've signed Gittins. I do mind that he cost that much money. I mean, what did he cost? 48 million quid. Noni was sold for 52. People talk about Noni Madueke's productivity, he's doing all right for Arsenal, but the truth is Noni's a right-sided player. Our right's fine, Stevao, Palmer, Neto, Noni was going to struggle. He's so exclusively left-hand side Gittins, and he's younger than Noni. I'm kind of okay with it. I'm not saying he's performing worse than Noni right now, but if I'm looking at the talent, the profiles, what they can do, Seb Stafford-Bloor, German football expert, talks about how this kid's got insane potential. Again, I'm kind of okay with him. I'm not angry that we signed him. I think it's more like a few other players. You know, like you Ty goes, Buonanotte goes, probably Mark Gu goes. Suddenly you're bringing in a different senior winger, maybe a different senior striker, and you carry these other guys better. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So a lot of people would disagree. João Pedro. Now, João Pedro is tough because he's clearly a very talented attacker, but he's niche. But I think he's playing really poorly. And I'm worried because David Cartledge is the guy, the Sunderland supporter on Football Ramble, that always talks about João Pedro and says he's one of the most streakiest players in the Premier League and will remain so. I don't think we can necessarily have players like that. Fortunately, he is young. He's quite physical. He's really good in the air, which is not bad for a second striker. And he has moments of class. But he suffers. He's not the player to rise to the occasion and raise the players up with him. When the team suffers, he just lowers himself to the level, which is they're all doing to each other. I think he's been playing really badly, João Pedro. And that, Liam Delap came off and, he's been getting loads of stick. He played better than João Pedro, mate. The striker position, I know, João Pedro came on for Parma. He stunk up the number 10 role and then moved forward to where Delap was playing and stunk up the number 9 role. So he stunk up both roles, basically. He played his 2 different positions terribly. Parma was way better in the 10. Liam Delap was better, marginally better in the striker, but he was still better. Do you know what I mean? I do wonder if João Pedro was a smart... I mean, I guess because he came in, won the Club World Cup, and that was so important. It's almost like Torres and his contribution to the Champions League win in 2012. Like, you reflect on it in hindsight and go, well, he was important for that time and that story. And the Club World Cup, I think, history will look really kindly on it. So, João Pedro, we'll see. I'm not writing him off, but I've been very disappointed. I've got to be honest, man. Ty, talented young player, does really well at England under 21, scored the odd goal for Chelsea. Been frustrating. He'll go permanently. Gu, I like Gu. Chelsea will make a handsome profit on him. He costs £5 million. We'll probably sell him for £18 million, and someone will be getting a great young striker who can get better. I think we'll sell him, put a buyback clause on him. Done. Facundo Buonanotte, this is mental. This is sporting director madness. This loan, just insane. I'm not saying he's a bad talent. I'm just saying, what the hell is he? Why is he here? He's not playing. He's not getting in. It's just mental. It's an incorrect decision. It's insane. It's Chelsea. Mudryk, what are you doing there? Estevao, here you go. Like Cole Palmer, BlueCo, the Chelsea ownership, well done. Cole Palmer, Estevao, well done. 2 huge hits, astronomical hits, insanely intelligent purchases, well done. Undisputed, well done. Garnacho, we will see. 40 million quid is probably, people who work in football, even now will tell you that's an insanely good deal. He's bad defending. He'll have to sort that out. He will get the odd goal and assist. I think if Chelsea get better as a team, he'll get better. But João Pedro, Garnacho isn't the player that's going to raise the level of the team. He will be raised when players come in that raise the level. Mudryk, we have no idea what's going to happen. I have a feeling his ban might get lifted at some point and he'll go to Strasbourg and Chelsea will evaluate what he is as a player. So, where are we? Well, I think Chelsea are going to sign a defender, a midfielder, a senior winger, and a senior striker. Sorry, I didn't say I think that's what they should do. Will they do it? I don't know. I think January will be a really hard window to execute anything, but I do wonder if they're having a meeting somewhere. If they're having a crisis meeting somewhere, shall we do something? Are we going to miss out on Champions League football? This is imperative we have this, Obviously, as well, it affects who you can sign Champions League, because not only do players want to play in the Champions League, there is a structure in the payment system at Chelsea that if you're in the Champions League, you get a 25% pay rise, which is a significant amount of more money. So if they sign for Chelsea with knowing the structure, that's immediately their first season a quarter off what they could be paid in their first year, so it's big financial ramifications all round and a lure for new acquisitions, man. Do you know what I mean? It's tough out there, dude. How do I let's land this plane, yeah? So what do I think? Well, Maresca's worrying me. I like him. I like his ability to sometimes change a game with substitutions. I like how he's not afraid to use Sterval. A lot of Chelsea managers of old wouldn't have touched him, or they would have given him token minutes in cups. I like how he can set up against big opposition well. I think we set up perfectly against Aston Villa before he flopped. I think he sorted out the team at halftime yesterday, but the players didn't put the ball in the back of the net. I also think he's made a lot of mistakes. I think he's needlessly hurt himself with comments in both seasons. And I do have a sinking feeling that he won't be Chelsea manager next season. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get sacked this season, but I think maybe he's got, even if he doesn't go to Man City, he'll get a good Champions League job after Chelsea and probably win trophies somewhere. Maybe Chelsea get a better manager than Maresca and do better. Maybe it becomes a mistake and we don't know. But I think one thing's for sure that we can all agree on is the squad needs addressing. We've got a big sample size now that includes last season. Of course, we had amazing moments in the cups, but we are a cup team that can, turn up for one big game. But in the league, there's 38 big games that you need to turn up for. And we have won one of those in 7, which can only be described as entirely unacceptable. Maybe we do something in January. Guys, let me know your thoughts. Leave them in the comment section on Spotify, but YouTube. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Now you've reached the end of the video. Put a little bit of work in, gang. Help me out. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you do want to give me a 5-star rating on Spotify, that does help me out. And, yeah, man, I hope to see you back here soon. I will be here to take you through the journey of Chelsea Football Club. Look after yourselves. Peace.